Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. And this is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. Well, this time we're not going to take a look at a comic book. We're going to take a look at an artist who has done comics. Now, several times I've showed stuff and told you stuff about the pulp magazines. Showed you some of the pulp magazines that I've got. Still got another handful to show you, but that's for another time. And many of those magazines had illustrations by the late great Virgil Finlay. And he is credited with being one of, if not the best, pulp magazine illustrators from the 30s and 40s and into the 50s. But before we talk about that, see, and that's going to be in this book here, Strange Science. This is all about showing a lot of his illustrations. First, pay some bills. Remember, you can get my book, Bizarre Brain Comics Anthology, available on Amazon, only on Amazon, $7.99, with some humor and some adventures and some little gags and stuff. And I want to shout out to another YouTube channel that's called Jerk Comic. Jerk Comic, yeah, just like it sounds. And now we're going to get on to Virgil Finlay. Okay, in this book, this is the book of Virgil Finlay's Strange Science. It's from Underwood Miller from 1992. And Virgil Finlay, and this is just the dust jacket I'm showing you right here. Here's the whole book, the hardback book without the dust jacket. And oh, of course, he wants to mess around on me. So Virgil Finlay, he was from 1914 to 1971, an American pulp horror and science fiction illustrator. See, so although most of these illustrations are science fiction, some of them are horror, but even his science fiction illustrations, black and white illustrations, mostly looked horrific. I mean, like a horror story, whether it was or not. He was one of the foremost contributors of imaginative artwork for the most memorable science fiction and fantasy publications. Although working in gouache and oils, he specialized in and was famous for extremely detailed pen and ink drawings. Despite the very time-consuming nature of his work, he created 2,600 graphic works in his 35-year career. And he was born in Rochester, New York, and in high school he found his future career when discovering the pulp magazines. He loved the pulps. He began exhibiting his work at age of 16, and by 21 he had sent 6 unsolicited drawings to the editors of Weird Tales, and they began to buy his services. Then he branched out to other publications. He served in the Army in World War II, and in the 50s and 60s he also did comics, notably science fiction for DC Comics. I have mislaid him. I was going to show you some some of his comic book work as well, but unfortunately, I don't know where I put it. It was mostly in Mystery in Space from the late 50s and early 60s and stuff. Now here, this, of course, the book is all in black and white, but it does show two of his color paintings, and this one here, which is oh, there's a blind spaceman begging for money from the robots occupying the city. And then this one here, oh, it's a lovely painting. Some kind of magic. It looks like mesmerism going on here, hypnosis. But it's a beautiful. They're both beautiful paintings. And I have to say, looking at this, now these are the only two color examples that I am familiar with at all. And that's and I have to say that his style of painting, not the subject, but the style of his painting, really makes me think of Edward Hopper from the 30s and 40s, who was an accomplished and well-respected fine art painter. And so we're going to take a look inside here. Even right there, just the end papers. Look at that. Oh, if that isn't horrifying. That sure fits in with Creepy Spooky Month. And here is a self-portrait of himself from 1933. So he was still fairly young there. Just look at this. I've pointed out his artwork in the pulps when I talk about them, but here, just look at that. If that isn't creepy, this is Dread Summons. And this is from The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. I won't go through all of these, but you can just see how creepy they are. Nordholm's Millions, An Unnatural Feud. Isn't that creepy looking? But just beautifully rendered here too. Looks like some kind of zombie. Beautifully rendered. They're all so beautiful, and he has such an appealing signature. If you can see his signature down here in the corner, it has a lovely signature too. More real creepy looking stuff. This is all science fiction. So this is probably one of the more famous ones. Look at that. Look at that. If even just the regular science fiction stuff, if that doesn't look horrific. Oh, and here we have gone the other way. These were ones that they have these big empty spaces, because these were where text would go. So these would have been for double page spreads. Oh, how's that for creepy? And this one here, not exactly creepy per se, but this, take a look at that one. Look at that one. Oh, beautiful. And this is from The Face in the Abyss by A.A. Merritt. And here, this is a classic one. This is, if you're familiar with this story, you know it is creepy. It's a creepy, horrifying story. And it's also fits into the sword and sorcery. This is Worms of the Earth by Robert E. Howard. Here, and then the text would go here and up there. These grotesqueries, yes. And the whole story is very horrifying. And this is what was used as the end papers. Again, some truly beautiful work. You have to admit. There's a ghost of some kind. This is for the American Weekly magazine. It doesn't have a title. This is also. I wish it gave the dates of these. Past those. Some fantasy sword and sorcery types. This sure looks creepy though. Look at that. Now there's that. Looks like Mad Scientist. This one looks like it could be right out of Buck Rogers. I was just wanting to share all this amazing work with you. I've been wanting to do this one. I have some kind of creepy bug. This is The Lovers by Philip Jose Farmer. Return to Earth. Another Buck Rogers Flash Gordon type, but got a kind of a creepy looking, looks like an intelligent, it's the transhuman, intelligent spider of some kind. Look at that. Looks like that could be the old witch or something from EC Comics. And when he did his work for DC, I don't know what he probably did some for EC. I think he did do some work for EC at some point. Whatever he did, it was incredibly beautiful. Just the line work, and it was probably much simpler for him to do that. But I get the impression he really loved this. And you can look closely here and see his hatching, cross hatching, all the texture he put. All the little line work we did with Crocodile pen and stuff, and some of these it'd have stippling in. I mean, it would be all kinds, stippling and cross hatching, like in here, all kinds of textures. You see it? They got the little tiny little circles, and the stippling and the hatching and cross hatching. It's just a beautiful mixture. Usually you don't see but one of those techniques in a drawing, but he blended them all so beautifully well. There, that really goes with Halloween. Okay, we'll leave it right there for Virgil Finlay's Strange Science. I hope you enjoyed seeing that, seeing some of his beautiful work beyond what little bit I've been able to show you in the pulp magazines. And I've got about a handful more pulps to show you, and hopefully there'll be some more Virgil Finlay illustrations in those. So thank you for joining me. Please like, share, and subscribe, and do leave a comment. Do you have other good examples of Virgil Finlay's work? What comic book titles did you see him? Have you seen his work in? And have you ever seen a pulp magazine with his work in it, or reproductions, or do you think he's total crap? Let me know in the comments below. And remember, even if it's in pulps, comics are art.